Your soul is mine.
How's it going, everyone? My name is True Underdog, and today we'll be discussing Shang Tsung's Soul Steal, possibly one of the most iconic moves in all of Mortal Kombat. This unique ability is up there with Scorpion's Spear and Sub-Zero's Ice Ball. It's a very iconic and famous ability. You could ask even the most casual player what Shang Tsung's main ability is, and they would tell you stealing souls. It is inseparable from the character. It is what he is known for, and it's what he's loved for. The ability to transform into the opponent is what makes Shang Tsung so cool as a character, and very fun to play if you have knowledge of a lot of the roster. If you understand how to play every character in the game, then Shang Tsung should be your go-to character, because not only do you transform into them, but you also do more damage than they normally do. And then on top of that, you also gain access to their crushing blows as well. Now unfortunately, the damage on the crushing blows is reduced ever so slightly to make things a bit more balanced, which is a bit of a shame, but I understand why the developers were worried that Shang Tsung having access to possibly 20 different crushing blows in a single match may have been a bit too powerful. Now, despite everything I've just mentioned about this move, you may be shocked to believe that it's almost never used at high levels of play. Don't get me wrong, it's a ton of fun to use against your friends or when the character first comes out, anything at a casual level, but if you're fighting someone who's serious, you pretty much never want to use this move. And if you don't believe me, feel free to watch any tournament matches with Shang Tsung. I can guarantee you're almost never going to see this move. In fact, myself personally, I've never seen it used at a high level tournament, or at least not by any pro players when they're in top 16 or top 8, any serious moments like that. And if you're wondering why this move is so uncommon to be seen in both MK11 and MK9, well, just wait a couple of seconds and you'll understand fairly quickly. That moment right there where Shang Tsung changes back into himself. He is completely vulnerable in that state, he can't even block. And there's a couple reasons why that's a very big issue. Reason number one, it does make combos very difficult. The opponent's gonna wake up blocking, so you have to touch them, and even if you do, chances are you're not going to have time to finish your combo before you change back. Now, if you want a bit more time, you do have the option to amplify the Soul Steal, and this will let you be the opponent for a bit longer, but the issue is many characters rely on meter to extend combos in this game, and you already spent one of those bars just to transform into the opponent, so unless you were already sitting on 2 bars, you've just denied yourself a combo. Now, in saying all of that, there are certain situations where you could use this to your advantage. Maybe you're taking Sub-Zero's soul, and you freeze the opponent just in time to turn back into Shang Tsung and then finish your combo, because they're already stunned. However, that's easier said than done because the game doesn't have any visual indicator of when you're about to transform back. So essentially you have to memorize the timer in your head and keep track yourself, which is obviously not easy when you're trying to crack open the opponent's defense, go for mix-ups, or even deal with their own attacks. It's not easy to keep track of when you're about to transform into Shang Tsung again. So that's issue number one. Shang Tsung may turn back into himself before you have time to finish your combo, and that's never fun. However, issue number two is a much bigger deal. As mentioned earlier, when you change back into Shang Tsung, you are temporarily not able to do anything, even block, and that's a very, very big deal. Now, the one nice thing is the game won't force you to turn back if you're already blocking, so if the opponent's going for a mix-up or pressuring you, you won't actually change back in the middle of their attack. However, the second I release block, I will turn into Shang Tsung, which means they get a free opening. And to make matters worse, you can also change back during your own offense. So if I'm pressuring the opponent and I'm trying to, open them up, oh man, Devora doesn't have any mix-ups that really combo, oh no, I turned back and they get a free combo punish on me. That is certainly not good when pressuring the opponent. You don't want to randomly just lose the option to block. But then we have the biggest problem of them all, and this is the main reason you will never see Soul Steal at a high level of play. If Shang Tsung turns into the opponent and then gets hit by them and is comboed, I always assumed that he would change back into himself during the middle of their combo, but no, that is sadly not the case. Instead, Shang Tsung will stay transformed for the entire duration of your combo, and then the second he gets up off the ground, he will be stunned changing back, which means you get a second combo. And against certain characters, that is a death sentence. Imagine being comboed by Shao Kahn for like 40 or 50%, and then he gets a second guaranteed combo as well. You're pretty much dead in that situation. That's a wrap for Shang Tsung. And honestly, even against weaker characters, that's still a guaranteed 50% at least. So yeah, that's why you don't see anyone use the Soul Steal ability. In a worst case scenario, scenario, it leaves you open for a second full combo punish from the opponent. Now in Shang Tsung's defense, he transforms pretty fast in that situation, so hitting him in that tiny window can prove difficult. However, even so, you're still guaranteed to be blocking when you wake up, and since the opponent knows that, they can just dash forward and go for a throw, which in this game especially is a 50-50. You certainly can't press any buttons, so they can just go in and apply pressure, whether it's a throw or just another block string. So even if the opponent's not fast enough to hit you when you're transforming back into Shang Tsung, they can still force you to block whatever they do, and some characters have high damage on block, some guaranteed chip damage that you don't want to have to deal with, but you are going to deal with it whenever you use Soul Steal. So as you can see, the cons far outweigh the benefits for using Soul Steal, especially in Mortal Kombat 11, because you also knock the opponent down, which gives them access to several different wake-up options. In Mortal Kombat 9, things were slightly better because Shang Tsung actually left the opponent standing, so at the very least they didn't have access to wake-up attacks. However, I know there's one person who's going to be mad in the comments if I don't bring up the one benefit of changing back into Shang Tsung, which is that it gives him access to his throw crushing blow, which is only on his back throw, so very easy to break and read, but even so it does lead to a combo. So at the very least, that's very unique for Shang Tsung, and not many characters can combo after their throw crushing blow, though the downside is the damage on it by default is pretty low. And here's the thing, I do not like that Shang Tsung's Soul Steal is not a viable move at high level, so I wanted to brainstorm ways that it could be made better, because I don't know about you, but I want to see what pro players can do with Soul Steal at a high level tournament. I want to see this happen. So I'm going to put my ideas out there, and I want you to post your ideas in the comments section below as well. Alright, so idea number one is a pretty obvious one, but it might be a bit too strong. The developers could simply not have Shang Tsung stunned when he changes back into himself. Don't take away his ability to block or anything like that. Just have him change back and that's the end of it. However, one more idea that I thought might be interesting is to have him never change back unless the opponent chooses to do so willingly. Now hear me out, that might be a bit too strong since he does have a damage buff when turned into the opponent. So how about this? The longer Shang Tsung stays transformed as the opponent, his damage buff actually starts to go away, and in fact if he stays even longer, his damage will actually go below what the opponent's damage is. Or in other words, the longer he stays transformed, the weaker his attacks become, which will incentivize the opponent to change back eventually. Or instead, for a more severe punishment, maybe Shang Tsung starts to lose his health little by little once he stays transformed for too long. So it wouldn't happen right away, but let's say he stays transformed for longer than 20 seconds. After that point, his health will slowly start to decrease, and I mean very slowly. Once again, we don't want the punishment to be too severe, otherwise players are not going to use Soul Steal. And you know what? How about giving Shang Tsung some new abilities as well? So on top of his Soul Steal, he also has an ability that simply gives him more health every time he does it to the opponent. I understand that his throw already does this in Mortal Kombat 11, and I think MK9 as well, but you can't combo into the throw. I want a move you can combo into that also gives you some health back. I think that would be very interesting. In fact, I just realized that Scarlet already does this with several of her moves, so I think Shang Tsung having it could be really cool, especially if future games don't have Scarlet. That would make Shang Tsung a bit more unique. And since Shang Tsung is stealing the opponent's soul, that's like his entire gimmick, why not give him a move that simply weakens the opponent? It gives them a debuff on their damage. That could be really cool. Oh, and then if you amplify the move, it also gives Shang Tsung a temporary damage buff as well, so the opponent's weaker and he gets stronger. I understand Shang Tsung already has the scrolls in this game that do a similar function, but they take way too long to activate, and they're not a Soul Steal ability. I want it to be a Soul Steal. Once again, keep that gimmick going. If Sub-Zero's the ice character with all his ice weapons, then let Shang Tsung have a bunch of Soul Steal abilities. And one more fun ability would be to allow him to steal a single move, kinda like Imposter Shinnok in Mortal Kombat X. That was always a very fun ability, and you saw it all the time, both at high level and casual play. Because unlike Soul Steal, it didn't really have any drawbacks. All it did was replace one of Shinnok's existing moves, but that was just a basic projectile style attack. So once again, Imposter Shinnok was very fun, and I think giving Shang Tsung a similar move could be a very good idea. Let him steal just one move. I think that's about it for my ideas, honestly, but once again, post your ideas in the comment section down below. Once again, I want Soul Steal to be one of his main moves in future games. I want it to be very commonly seen. Once again, as it stands right now, this attack is one of the most useless that NetherRealm has actually made when it comes to high level play, and I don't think that's their fault necessarily, because I understand that balancing a move like this could prove very difficult. You don't want it to be overpowered. But whatever the case may be, I do hope that this iconic move is much stronger in future titles. I want to see it used at high level play. I want to see what pro players can do with Shang Tsung's Soul Steal ability. As mentioned earlier, it's one of the most iconic attacks in Mortal Kombat history, and Shang Tsung is known for this move, so make it one of his best. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please please leave a like down below to show your support. It really does help my channel out a ton. And then if you haven't already, make sure to suplex that subscribe button. That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.